All right, time to check out the tropics, and I want to start out with an update on some new numbers that we just got. Now, they didn't really change all that much. So over the last 48 hours, we received an update from our friends led by Dr. Phil Klotzbach at Colorado State University on their outlook for the rest of the season, and also from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. These are the numbers that they've come up with, and they didn't really change that much. Now, keep in mind, we've already had 4 named storms, right? We were already on Dexter, which is becoming extratropical in the North Atlantic Ocean. So that's included. So 16 named storms from Colorado State means 12 more. So I hope that makes sense. However, we haven't had a hurricane yet. So that means 8 more hurricanes and 3 more major hurricanes, their prediction. Now, the latest that came out from NOAA is a little bit kind of harder to pin down, I suppose, because they go with a wide range. And so that means that there could be as few as 13 or as many as 18. That was adjusted just ever so slightly, 5 to 9 hurricanes. Their June forecast was 5 to 10. And 2 to 5 major hurricanes. Their last forecast was 3 to 5 major hurricanes. So it really has not changed, very substantive. There's the average. In an average year, 14, 7, and 3. This is a look at this pie chart, which tells us above normal, near normal, below normal. So this is the outlook from NOAA, and they give it a 50% chance that we'll end up with a higher than average number of named systems. So as I just shared with you, the average is 14. So 50% chance that we get above that, a 35% chance that we'll get, basically right around 14, and there still is a very slight chance that we could end up with fewer than that number, mostly I would say based on the fact that we have a lot of dust out there. Now, this graphic is for the geeks out there, for the real weather aficionados. This is a look at the current state of the El Nino La Nina phase, what's called the ENSO, or El Nino Southern Oscillation. So this is a sloshing back and forth of pressure and water across the equatorial parts of the Pacific Ocean. And this is a look at the last year. So last summer, we were in a cooler La Nina phase, which tends to favor more hurricanes, and then it actually dipped into a pretty strong La Nina this past winter. Since then, we've come right back up to what is considered a neutral phase. So that's one of the factors that goes into this forecast as well, is that usually when you're in an El Nino, it tamps the storms down. You see fewer of them. A La Nina, you see more of them, and most noteworthy, you see more major hurricanes. But we don't have either one right now. It's just kind of neutral. This is what's left of, well, not what's left of, this is what is now the remnant low of Tropical Storm Dexter, which is now no longer a tropical storm. Once it gets up here, past the Canadian Maritimes, you got to figure that water temperature is very cold, and it also encounters some very high winds aloft in the atmosphere. But you know what? These storms can still pack a punch. I mean, you could still get some hurricane force wind gusts out of this, and some of that moisture will end up streaming across to the British Isles. Now, here's a look at the forecast track of the system. Again, it becomes extratropical, but could in about 5 days end up in the vicinity of Ireland. So we'll keep an eye on that. Tropical outlook here. What are we watching right now? 20% chance of a little swirl developing there off the east coast of the U.S. One that looks more likely is a low that's here that has about a 60% chance, per the National Hurricane Center, of developing into a depression or a storm once it gets into this area. Now, I'll tell you, this particular storm does not look like it's going to be a threat to the U.S. It certainly doesn't look like it's going to be a threat to Texas. But I want to show you the GFS computer model here, because we could take this out over the next 7 days. So you'll see that one I was just talking about there, but then another one is going to be moving in from the west coast of Africa right there. This one has a chance of maybe being a little bit more of a U.S. threat. So this one could become a tropical storm or hurricane, probably going to stay well to the east. This one could be a bit more of a concern, though, for the Caribbean Sea and the USA. As far as what's happening elsewhere across the tropics, off the east coast of the U.S., notice that system doesn't look super impressive. This one doesn't look really impressive either. So short term in the Gulf, we're in pretty good shape. And thanks for joining us here for today's hurricane update.